Interruptions are a great thing for meditation. So we know how mindful we are and start all over again. Life is like that. So I will sound the gong 3 times so that we kind of collect our thoughts and restart. So simply close your eyes and begin to bring your body to a resting position and mindfully breathe in and mindfully breathe out, transcending any worries and any fears. Now, revisiting our body scanning steps, beginning with our face, we go upward to the eyes and the thousands of muscles there relaxed, and your forehead relaxed, and the top of your head and the back of your head. Release any from any tension and relaxed. Your upper back, lower back, and mid back. These are relaxed as well. Your neck and shoulders, so very relaxed. Now, the front of your body, however you name your faces, like the chest, maybe relaxed, and you maintain an upright position, and your sitting bones relaxed. Notice also the position of your hands, however you have placed your thumbs, fingers, elbows. There's no weight placed on either side, left, right, front, back, gently resting like a statue. Knees relaxed, shin bones relaxed, ankles, the soles of your feet, the toes. Now you are getting deeply rooted to the earth below. Hear the sounds of birds chirping and vehicles, humans doing their own things. We belong in this very moment. Just blend with it. And since there is nothing more to investigate, sounds begin to disappear from your attention. And focus is now driven to the rhythmic pattern of your body's breathing, and your awareness grabs onto it and apply mindfulness, not bothered by anything that arises, not knowing what may arise. Past is abandoned, it cannot be edited. Future is yet to come. By making this moment a delightful moment, we will not miss this life at this beautiful, delicate hour in our lives. So mindfully you breathe in, mindfully you breathe out. Mindfully you breathe in, mindfully you breathe out. The breath is happening, you're just applying awareness to it. It's not happening in the past or in the future, it's happening now. And that's the beauty of it. It has no color, no shape. We become one with it. Notice how silently your whole upper body is breathing. Your shoulders have this movement along with your breath, and it's felt across your upper body. Notice that some parts of your body now disappear from your attention. There's more tranquility, uplifting joy that may arise, freedom from the weight of the past and the weight, burdens of the future disappear. Your attention perhaps is sharpened and you hear things clearer than before. All these are reminders of you, your path toward freedom from anything that may have bothered you this day or in the past, in the recent past, that we can be this moment without getting worked up on things or be worried about things or getting into the poisons of anger, jealousy, greed, but instead choosing loving kindness, generosity toward oneself and others. So back to the breathing. However subtle it becomes, we stay present with it. Whenever we feel distracted, we come back to it. That's all. Notice the arising of things and also the cessation of things. And with these, observations, it is not those things. It is actually the consciousness that arises and disappears. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, and so on. About 5 minutes, we will conclude this meditation session. In this last minute, I like to bring this quote for your attention. So it's okay to bring thoughts into thinking this way. The quote is uh, he who blames others have a long way to go. He who blames oneself is halfway there. He who blames no one has arrived. So, in this path of realization, to suffer less and be more content with our being, our mind, to make our minds more beautiful, we let go of the mind of complaining or fault finding. Instead, cultivate joy, appreciative joy, altruistic joy, blaming no one, including oneself, just seeing things as they arise and as they disappear. Please come out of your meditation, and before I go any further, I'd like to introduce our new interim director, Judy, to all of you who are joining. She took the role of being the interim executive director of Peace House after the recent transitions that happened. Um, and that is how the Zoom acted like that, because she also has the same access that um, I do. Judy, would you like to say hello to everyone?
Just peace and blessings to all. I'm so grateful to be here with you, Bante, and also with you, Nankuda and Joanna. Yes,
Nanduka.
Nanduka.
He's
Yes.
joining from Canada, a
Oh,
good friend
wonderful.
of mine for a long time.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so um, although there was no newsletter sent out, Judy, and I think that less newsletters is perhaps how we like to do things. But something came up for this week as this one person requested me to discuss about what makes someone a Buddhist. So the printed document has that, and let me share it with you. Although that person could not be here today, but also then Joanna came up wanting to take 5 precepts today. So it kind of uh, works perfect that we get a chance to discuss it together, and maybe toward the end, Joanna can take precepts and others can rejoice in her taking of precepts, 5 precepts. Okay, so I have put together this document um, that might help us shape our thinking and understanding about how important it is for Buddhists to uh, take this step of taking, first they take refuge and then they take the 5 precepts for basically lifetime. And with the help of this document, it has about 3 pages, and we will be able to learn a few things, and maybe if we have more time toward the end, we can discuss and share our ideas. So this document is not completely my own writing. Someone who has a name in internet called Bodhisattva, Aspiring Awakening, wrote most of the content that I present here. And I think the source is cited somewhere down below. So you can um, give a shout out to him. This is from the wildmind.org. So you have the source with you. And he begins, what makes someone a Buddhist? He begins by Jim Morrison saying, "No one here gets out alive." We live in an uncertain world. We all need a source of security in life, something that gives life a sense of meaning and purpose. So, for this reason, many people in the world have chosen some kind of spiritual path that helps them in many ways, especially when fear arises in their hearts. They like to connect with something sacred that they hold in their heart and pray. So it is important for all of us. There is this Dhammapada verse that this person has quoted. It's Dhammapada 188. It says, "People driven by fear go for refuge to many places: mountains, forests, gardens, trees, and shrines." So I remember this quote in Pali. Um, Manusa bhayatajita, people who are frightened, they go to um, Vana is the forest, Pabbata is the rocks. So if they think this mountain is larger than their small life, this this mountain has a deity I must worship, or this tree is so magnificent, and there must be someone possessing this tree, and I will make an offering to this tree. So people tend to do that from, I don't know, whenever the history started happening, there are these offerings placed in front of trees. Now they have statues, the personification of a divine in a form of a statue, and people make offerings to them. And in those human behaviors, there is some cry for help or asking for protection, some form of human need that they try to fulfill. So the Buddha uh, said something like those people who take refuge in mountains, forests, gardens, trees, and shrines, they worship them, but those are not complete refuges in the Buddha's understanding. Instead, the Buddha asks people to look within with the help of three things: with the help of um, the Buddha's presence, what made him awakened, and the purity he developed in his mind, he cultivated in his mind, and that became a refuge to him, and he encouraged people to cultivate a Buddha nature in their own ways, although they may not be fully accomplished like a Buddha, but there is some sense of protection they can get from it. And the second aspect is the teachings he gave. So the teachings include the 5 precepts, 8 precepts, 10 precepts, or any number of precepts that one can commit to and keep for lifetime. So that Buddhists, you know, join their palms together like this, and monks chant the precepts and they repeat it after the monk. Some people take 4 precepts out of 5, and they they do this. You see, they don't keep all 5 fingers up. They just mentally don't want to take that last one. they they only take 4. See this, the last small fingers are down. This last one is about taking alcohol. Unfortunately, they bring it down. So they don't want to take it. They just zip up their mouth. Um, these are observations by living in a Buddhist culture in Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar. But otherwise, people also just take it, but they don't necessarily keep it. They just recite it by habit. They think that monks saying it, I must also repeat it, otherwise it's a sin. So I will I will take it now, but maybe for the next hour or so until I break one. So there is this not so seriousness also sometimes associated with taking of precepts, because people take it for granted. It's given every day before every religious function in a temple. So they hear it on loudspeakers in Buddhist cultures every evening or every morning. So it's a thing that I can do tomorrow. So they don't take it so seriously. But the intended uh, goal here is to actually take it and be committed to it. So the Buddha highlights, in the middle of this next paragraph, you see um, this quote by the Buddha, Atta Dipa Viharata Atta Sarana Ananya Sarana Dhamma Dipa Dhamma Sarana Ananya Sarana. So take oneself, um, like seek no external refuge. Take the Dhamma as your refuge. What this means is that um, you can, this is about, in one way to look at it is that someone may commit a crime and not take responsibility for it and ask someone higher above to protect them, not take responsibility for the action. So this is telling no need to do that. Just look within and stop doing that again. So that way you can purify your own conduct and be free from any remorse or any guilt. So it's anyway asking, of course, humans can make mistakes, but please don't repeat it. So there's that openness there. When people take refuge, they say this 3 times to the Buddha. I go for refuge, to the Dhamma for refuge I go, to the Sangha for refuge I go. They say it in Pali, Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami. They say this, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Buddha is the Supreme Buddha, historical Buddha. Dhamma is the teachings. Sangha is the monks, the ordained disciples of the Buddha. And they don't stop there. um, they do it for the second time, third time as well, to make sure that it becomes something like a mantra, and we repeat it to be more serious, to be more mindful about the action of doing this, to take it to the heart, to take it to your speech, and be more maybe meaningful and responsible in the statements that you make. um, so this can be done with the help of a monk or with the help of a spiritual companion like a kalyana mitta, someone who has pure intentions, pure friendship goals with you, and you can do it on your own. Don't have to wait until a fortunate day to start it if anyone is. So we monks never enforce this on anyone. That's not something we feel comfortable doing. Anyone asks for refuge and precepts, we do it. But the way it happened to me is that I was born in a Buddhist village in Sri Lanka, in Tanamalila. So everybody does this, that we all go to the temple and the monks chant it and we say Buddhan Saranang Gacchami and so on. We come home and next week or next full moon day, it's the habit for Buddhists to go to the temple. They feel more connected with spirituality on that day, and monk chant it and we say it after him. Or a monk will be in the village giving a talk, and we all go there. Before giving the talk, he gives 3 refuges and 5 precepts. We take it. So it just becomes known to you. Sometimes you hear it and you remember it. Sometimes you just remember it wrong. And when you look at the statements, you realize, oh, this is spelled this way, and you correct yourself. And so it just was introduced to me like that. It's like grandma Buddhism. I see grandma going to the temple, I follow her. I see parents going to the temple and I follow them. So there was no seriousness, honestly, involved in it until later when I became a monk at the age of 16. Um, I realized I became more conscious of my behavior and the way I speak and what true refuge actually means. But 16, you only know so much. I think as we age more, as we get more social experiences and learn from our sincere mistakes, also knowing that having a pure conduct is the best gift you can give to yourself. I think eventually we truly, sincerely take refuge that way in some form or the other. And you realize that this is not a commandment that someone giving you, it is something that you do to yourself. And that is a great realization for me. And I think in the beginning I said something like, these are chanted like a prayer, like a mantra. I remember going to bed chanting this or chanting a verse, something like the Buddha became Buddha and he defeated his defilements and it is a great victory, therefore may I be safe. But I remember a day that I stopped doing it to see if any punishment will come to me overnight. That's how I believed about these things. But no punishment came. Next morning I was safe. So I realized that mental habits such as these can be abandoned also, that there is no harm coming your way when you don't do this also. But if with so seriousness, when we take refuge, you take it with an intention that no matter what it takes, whether it makes us poor or rich or hard, we have to go through hardships, I will do it anyway. I think that is so liberating. That is that is showing that I'm so serious about this and I'm willing to go through the challenges um, that I will face. And in all those moments, I will still be um, respecting these principles and my refuges. It's not the concept of a refugee as the world discusses. It's about having that you have the path ahead of you that you just follow it. You feel protected in that. So it's a protection that perhaps we give ourselves. All right, so let's go a little further. I have quoted the Dajjagga Sutta. This is from the Samyutta Nikaya, um, one of the collection of discourses of the Buddha, connected discourses. That is the meaning of Samyutta Nikaya. In it, there is a sutra named Dajjagga Sutta, the banner's crest. And the Buddha says there was a war between heavenly beings and those in lower realms. They were heavenly but slightly lower than the heavenly beings. There was a war, and the leader of heavens informed their crowds, the battalions, to look at his banner if there is any fear they faced, any trepidation, fear. And if they cannot spot that banner, look, the banner's crest, if they cannot see it, look at the second in command or look at the second deity, third deity, or whoever is in charge. So in a successive way, look for it and your fear will be disappeared. The Buddha said, no, that's not how it happens, monks. Um, so look at the second passage here. But monks, I say this, if you have gone to a forest or to the foot of a tree or to an empty hut, and fear or trepidation or terror should arise in you, on that occasion, you should recollect me, the Buddha. The Buddha is an arahant. So arahant is someone who has destroyed the defilements. perfectly enlightened, accomplished in true knowledge and conduct, fortunate, knower of the world, unsurpassed, leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of heavenly beings and humans, the enlightened one, the blessed one. So these are 9 qualities that are famous in Buddhist sutras. So think about these qualities. And how does this makes us free from any fear? For when you recollect me, monks, whatever fear or trepidation or terror you may have will be abandoned. Or the Buddha says, if you can do that, think of the Dhamma as a protection, think of Sangha as a protection. So in all these, it's actually not taking a statue or someone who has passed away for refuge. It's actually what makes a person be this way, that they have abandoned, they have faced their fears and abandoned them and seen the truth behind them, and therefore they became free. And I can also cultivate my mind, these qualities in my mind, and achieve those goals. So there is that sense of refuge. But as a child, all I did was I visualized the statue of the Buddha that I saw in the temple, the huge Buddha statue in the shrine. That's what I thought as the Buddha, not any of these, because I was not aware of the existence of these qualities. Although we chant them, we didn't know the meaning of them. We just hear it. So people do realize this, and then they meditate on these 9 qualities. So there's a kind of meditation called recollecting the 9 qualities of the Buddha, or recollecting the qualities of heavenly beings, what makes someone so heavenly, in simple words. So it all these ways one is able to cultivate good qualities in their minds. So before taking refuge, you can skip a couple of lines. Well, the Buddha also in that Dajjagga Sutta said, he is free from lust, hatred, and delusion. Therefore, it gives a sense of protection to those others who take refuge in him. And before taking refuge, people say, I pay homage to the Buddha 3 times. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. They say it 3 times, and then they take refuge. So this is that we will visit that for when we take refuge, but I also want to highlight these 2 verses toward the end. Please go to the end of the document. Kikiva andang chamareva valadhing piyanga puttang nayanangva ekakang tatheva silang anurakha managa supesala hota sada sagara. So as a blue jay protects its eggs, and then as an ox protects its tail, so even when they are caught in a snare, they don't leave it because they want to protect the tail. Like a mother protecting her dear child, like she protects her own eyes, so to protect your virtues, be moral and respectful. This is an advice given to those who take precepts. And the last one is Silena sugating yanti, Silena bhoga sampada, Silena nibbuting yanti, Tasma silang visodhe. So at the end of any precept ceremony, monks chant this. These 5 precepts led with good behavior, takes you to bliss, with good virtues to wealth and success. They lead with good virtue to happiness, therefore purify your virtues. The simple idea is that when you keep your precepts, you don't gamble, you don't overly give your wealth to your desires or people who you desire to claim as yours to impress them. You just don't need that. You have let go of that desire, and you stick with your principles that you don't need that person. You just have yourself, and you protect your wealth indirectly. That way, you are not wasting your resources by trying to impress other people or to to please your own cravings. Sometimes people do that. They gamble. They have mistresses or whatever, and they they secretly distribute their wealth so that they can impress them and keep them in their lives, and they always be poor because of these habits. So you see what I'm trying to say here, that by abandoning them, one is able to be protect one's wealth. So that's the idea. So in the last minutes, some of you who are not taking precepts, feel free to leave. But perhaps with Joanna, we can do the precepts um, right here before the next group comes and want to start the space here. So others can observe while Joanna can unmute and repeat after me. I will say and then Joanna repeat. Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddham saranam gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dhamman saranam gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Dutiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddham saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi sangham saranam gacchami.
So, these usually chanted in Pali, but I would do it in English because that way it's more meaningful to you. I undertake the training principle of abstaining from taking life. Please repeat after me.
I undertake the training principle of abstaining from taking life.
I undertake the training principle of abstaining from taking the not given.
I undertake the training principle of abstaining from taking the not given.
I undertake the training principle of abstaining from sexual misconduct.
I undertake the training principle of abstaining from sexual misconduct.
I undertake the training principle of abstaining from false speech.
I undertake the training principle of abstaining from false speech.
I undertake the training principle of abstaining from intoxication.
I undertake the training principle of abstaining from intoxication.
Great. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I rejoice in your good karma and may you be able to protect your virtues for lifetime until your liberation. All right, so let's conclude today's session. Please join me to share merits. But before that, do you have any questions? Okay, let's share merits. May the suffering ones be suffering free and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief and may all beings be free. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Have a great rest of your day and until next time.
Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
Bhante. Good night.
Good night. See you, Nandakumarma.